Hey, Pretty Girl Club. I have another Exotical Storytime for you today. Make sure to email your stories to exoticalsunited@gmail.com because we have so many of the pretty girls who are finally telling our stories. Now that this channel has 11,000 subscribers and we are quickly growing, it's really important for all of us to get our stories out there because we can't be all making this stuff up. You know how a lot of people like to say that we're just delusional, we're being conceited, we just think that other people are jealous of us, no one's jealous of you. You know how people like to give those talking points? So it actually strengthens this community if we tell our stories because then it helps the newer girls who are coming into this channel to realize, wait a minute, we're actually not delusional. Has anyone else noticed how all of the stories that have been coming in on this channel, we all have commonalities in our stories. We've all been told things like, you're not that light skinned, or you don't look mixed, or you're not as pretty as XYZ person, or you're not that pretty. Have you ever noticed how a lot of us have very common experiences? Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the story. This girl says, "Hi Exoticals United. First, I want to say thank you for your channel. It has truly helped me work through some experiences that I just shook off as in my head. I have a few stories to share, so feel free to use one or all of them. I also have pictures for context and for you to pull relevant example photos for the video, but I would like them to be anonymous." Storytime 1. A black guy who moved to town from the UK asked me in a group setting in college what I was mixed with. The black people were asking him why he thought I was mixed because I looked like a regular black girl. I've noticed that people love using this talking point, but they expose themselves because it's like, first of all, you're admitting that you feel like looking black means you're regular. And then number two, you're trying to divide and conquer. You want the mixed people to go against each other. You want the black passing mixed people to feel inferior or to feel more left out as opposed to the white passing mixed people. But anyone who makes comments like this, they're exposing themselves as, number one, they're not mixed themselves, obviously. Number two, they most likely have no mixed family members or friends, because anyone who actually is around mixed people knows that we can be white passing or black passing. It's so funny because it's like, why is it that a mixed person can be white passing, but suddenly they can't be black passing? No, there are mixed people who are white passing, black passing, Asian passing, Indian passing. It depends on what their background is or like what their mixture is, and it depends on how their parents look. People act like in order to be mixed, you have to have at least one white parent or one white passing parent. No, there are plenty of mixed people who have Pacific Islander ancestry or they have Arab ancestry, and so they are not white passing. But let's continue. She says, he was genuinely confused and was like, yeah, she's black, but clearly there is something else there. He pointed out that I'm tall, skinny, have freckles. They are actually moles, but they do look like freckles. Wait, I didn't know there was a difference between moles and freckles. Oh, crap. I also have moles/freckles on my face as well. But she says, and I don't have the same facial features as the unambiguous black people present. It became a big debate, and I just resolved it by saying, I'm just a regular black girl. Looking back on it, I find it odd that I hardly said anything in the conversation, but black people had so much to say about what I looked like. Yep, I've had this happen to me like in the job setting as well, where this one unambiguous guy, he just randomly, nobody was talking about skin tone, nobody was talking about race or anything like that. They were actually talking about dating when we were in the office, and this guy randomly felt the need to say that, number one, he doesn't date light-skinned girls, and he directly said it to me out of all the people. I'm thinking, first of all, I was never interested in you and never will be, but secondly, why did you have to say that to me? And then he goes on to say that he has a cousin who is lighter than me, and she is fully black. So it's basically a humbling tactic. They want you to feel like, oh, you don't look different. Your beauty doesn't stand out. Your looks don't stand out. But if our looks didn't stand out and we all just look like quote unquote regular black girls, then why is there a whole conversation on colorism, texturism, featureism, representation in Hollywood? So don't get mad when I represent you in Hollywood. Don't get mad when I win pageants or, when people with my phenotype are used as the standard for black beauty, since we all just are regular black girls and we all look the same and none of us look different. Okay, so then don't get mad when I replace you. How about them apples? Story time number 2. She says, my sister is lighter than me, but we look exactly alike. We have the same facial features, close in height, wear the same size, etc. There are times where people have tried to compare me and my sister and make it seem as if she is more attractive because she is lighter. Yeah, I've had people try to do this in my family. My sister is also a little bit lighter than me. She has a different hair texture than me, but yeah, she's a little bit lighter. And I've noticed that sometimes people will try to use those who are lighter slash whiter passing than you as a humbling tactic. They don't want you to feel too confident about your complexion. They don't want you to feel confident about how you look. And so they will try to use your own family members or, people who are close to you. They'll try to use them as a way of humbling you. And people often do this when they are threatened by your confidence. They're threatened by the fact that you're confident in your appearance, or maybe that person is also insecure about how they look. Sometimes it has to do with race, but sometimes it doesn't have to do with race. Like they're just insecure about how they look overall. And so if a person feels like your confidence in how you look is coming from something like your complexion or your mixed race ancestry, which it should, by the way, because why should I hate myself? Like, that doesn't make sense. Everybody else gets to love themselves, but suddenly if you're mixed race or suddenly if you have a lighter skin tone, you have to hate yourself? No. So, but some people, if they feel like you're getting any of your confidence and self-esteem from your racial background or your complexion, they will try to make you think that your complexion is inferior to someone else's complexion, or they'll try to make you feel like your racial mix is inferior to someone else's racial mix. Like I've heard some people, they will talk crap about people they have Blasian, the Blasian background. They'll try to talk crap about those people and say, well, you're not half white. Or sometimes they'll talk bad about people who maybe they have some native ancestry or indigenous ancestry, myself included. If you have a black, white, Latin American background, then they'll try to be like, oh, well, you don't have the same looks or the same background as someone who is at least 50% white. And this is all just a humbling tactic because they don't like the fact that you're confident in your appearance. And so they want you to feel inferior because they themselves feel inferior compared to you. And so that's just another typical humbling tactic. But she said, there are times when people have tried to compare me and my sister, and they make it seem as if she is more attractive because she is lighter. If it's not that, then people will say I'm light-skinned, but change their tune once they see my sister. Right. I've noticed a lot of people do this when you are lighter skinned, but you are not white passing. If somebody else who is more white passing than you is in the room, or they're watching a movie or something and somebody else is whiter than you, then people will try to bring that up, or they will try to say like, oh, actually, no, you're not light skinned, or they'll say you're not that light skinned. But again, why is it that people always feel the need to police our complexions? If I were to ever in my life walk up to a dark-skinned, unambiguous woman and compare her to another dark-skinned woman who was lighter than her, and I said, oh, actually, you're super dark-skinned. Oh, yeah, you have like jet black skin, and this other girl, yeah, she's slightly lighter than you. I would be called all kinds of colors, but I noticed that people, they find it okay to do with people who are lighter skinned. You know why? Because they have an inferiority complex. They feel like you are higher up on some sort of social hierarchy than them. And so they're trying to bring you down on the social hierarchy. So I do believe that social hierarchies exist, but they only exist in your mind. So a person who has an inferiority complex about their skin tone, yeah, they're going to hate on anybody who's lighter than them, or they're going to try to humble anyone who is not as light as the whitest person. But let's continue. She says, before seeing her, referring to her sister, I'm light-skinned. But then after, I'm suddenly brown-skinned. Luckily, my sister and I are close and laugh at the hypocrisy when it happens. Yeah, other people don't get to control how you view your own skin tone. And this is how I know people are literally jealous over your own self-perception. Because let's say you have more of, let's say, a Stacey Dash type of complexion. Whatever your foundation shade is, you have the right to call yourself by that foundation shade. So if you're a caramel or, I don't know, cinnamon or whatever your shade is, I don't see why people view it as a problem when you are naming your own skin tone. And also, don't worry, because this literally happens no matter what your skin tone is. Somebody is always going to think that you're a different skin tone than what you say you are. Like I've seen people have come on this channel and they say Doja Cat is not light skinned. So people, they constantly try to move the goalpost of whatever light skinned is or dark skinned is. And they move the goalpost of certain skin tones based on their own self-esteem, based on the talking point that they're trying to win. They'll do it based on however they feel. And this is why I say that people need to be strong and confident in their own identities, because if you externalize your identity, you're going to have a different identity every day. If you ask 10 people what they think of you, you're going to get 10 different opinions. And so this is why I say that I don't identity police. And I feel like every person has the right to describe themselves in whatever way they feel is the most accurate. So if you feel like the most accurate way to describe yourself is lighter and somebody else disagrees, who cares? Like, the way that I describe my skin tone is based on a combination of my foundation shade, my actual skin tone that I was born with. I've noticed that for a lot of people, if you are light skinned, they try to catch you at the darkest moment in your entire life. So like, they might pull up pictures or something from when you were a teenager and you were running track. Like, I know this is true for me. When I was a teenager, I used to run track. I used to sit outside all the time. So I was definitely more caramely. And I've noticed that people, they try to pull up like maybe the darkest picture of you, or they want to judge lighter skinned people based on when they are the absolute darkest, I've noticed. And then if you're a darker skinned person, then they want to judge dark skinned unambiguous people by when they're the absolute lightest. And they'll be like, well, you're almost the same color as Gabrielle. You're darker than Jennifer Hudson. When in reality, you know that that's not true, but they're just trying to, they want to approximate themselves to you because they put you on a pedestal. So the closer they feel that they look to you, the more of a pedestal they get to put themselves on. And like I said, this is all based on an inferiority complex. But I do have a What Color is Light Skin series on this channel. I've noticed that a lot of people like to gaslight us mixed race people about things like our skin tone, our hair texture, our facial features, and all kinds of different things. And so people, they just want you to feel confused. They want you to feel unsure of yourself because that's how they feel. And so this is why I say that we definitely need our own space, and we definitely need to be able to have the right to call ourselves by whatever names we want, because some people they'll even police what name you get to call your racial mix. Like, they'll say you can't call yourself mulatto because that term was like a bad term back in the day. And it's like, okay, well, there are plenty of unambiguous people calling themselves and other people the N-word. So what are you talking about? You can't control how other people run their cultures. You don't get to decide how mixed people run their culture, because yes, being mixed is an actual culture. If you were raised in a home with, multiple cultures in there, guess what? That's your cultural background. So you have the right to describe your cultural background and your racial background however you see fit. But yeah, no matter what you say, people are going to police it. She says, story time number 3. I was dating a guy that seemed really sweet, thoughtful, and genuine. He treated me like a queen, and I was thinking it could be something long term. We were having dinner and talking about our work days. He had a really crazy situation that was pretty stressful. I knew it was something that could make work stressful for the next few weeks, so I didn't want to press the issue too much. I was working at a bank at that time, and I brought up some reports, and I said, my boss wants us to start a financial education program in the community because our branch has a high amount of customers overdrafting their accounts. He responds, oh, that's great. I'm like, no, it's not. He starts laughing, saying he spaced out a bit. I assume because he is still thinking about the situation at his job. He tells me he spaced out thinking about what I should wear to his work event that wasn't until 3 months from then. After paying attention to how much he liked the idea of me and not me as a person, I ended the relationship less than a week later. Yeah, a lot of people, I say this on this channel as a joke. It's almost as if you were like this real life walking Barbie doll, or like you're this trophy where a lot of guys, they like to parade us around. They like to show us off as their status symbol. But this is also why I have a Decentering Men series on here, because just because a guy shows us off or wants to date us or wants to be seen with us, that does not mean that that guy is a great person and has great morals and he's so faithful and loyal. So I'm not surprised about that at all. I've noticed that a lot of men are very obsessed with how you look when they are sexually attracted to you. So this is why anytime a man tries to come for a woman's looks or say, oh, well, you're wearing makeup, you're wearing this, you're wearing that, you're wearing a corset, you got a plastic surgery, it's like, wow, you must really be attracted to her a lot if you are memorizing that many things about her, or you are imagining her in different outfits and stuff. You absolutely pedestalize her. So that guy, it sounds like he definitely pedestalized you and was trying to view you as a trophy. And there's nothing wrong with being viewed as a prize as long as I'm treated like a prize. But a lot of guys, they don't know how to treat women like prizes because most men don't even treat themselves like a prize. So how are they going to treat you like a prize? Anyway, what do you ladies think of this girl's story time? Let me know in the comments section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.